Should be live anytime now. And we are live, it seems. Minor technical error once again. That seems to be the norm. Don't blame me. That was totally YouTube's fault. I was about to hit live.
The rabbit window. Oh, you
and
found it.
And yeah, right. So you guys, we hear you? You know, we are live. Yes. Hey,
I have returned from my week-long exile of last week.
And we are live.
I have just appeared.
Minor technical
As
error
devils do.
once again. Right, okay, so we're live. We are not having technical errors. I'm not hearing echoes of me in the background. And YouTube is not fucking up, which it has been doing for the last 10 minutes. Every time I started to get the preview running, it would fail, and then I couldn't stream. So, that's always fun. But we're back for another. It's turning into a weekly episode at the moment, but we've had one or two things on the last week, so we're not going to go into that in too great details. But we're back, and this time we've got Ez and D with me to have a quick look at what's been going off. So hi guys, hope you're well and been faring well since I last spoke to you.
Yeah, all good, mate.
Awesome.
I'm just peachy, thanks.
Fantastic. Yeah, well, it's been some interesting stuff in the news, and I found some stuff that I wanted to keep it light. We are going to have to deal with some heavy stuff, so we're gonna dive in there fairly early off. I'm sure both of you have heard the extremely sad news that, well, as of yesterday, the world just got a little darker for a lot of us. The great Stan Lee, at the age of 95, has finally passed on.
God bless his soul.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I heard about this. It means we're finally going to get what everyone really wanted, which is a gay Latinx Spider-Man.
Oh, don't.
Are they going to just sodomize his name now?
I don't know.
His works is going to be debaucherous.
No, I don't think so. I mean, that's the degradation of comic books has been going on continuously for quite a little while now, which is why Marvel have seen such a drop in their sales of late. But nonetheless, I don't want to get into that side too much with regards to this. I just really want to pay respect and press a gigantic F for the master of comics, and also the absolute master of cameo appearances in comic book movies. He has been in every comic book movie, or every movie. I mean, he was in Mallrats. He's anything that's had the Marvel title even loosely assembled associated with it. There's been an old guy wandering around in the background offering a tiny piece of advice, and it's always a gold. It's always an absolute gem to see, and we won't be getting any more of that. And
does he hold the
I was just sitting here thinking, who are they going to get to play Stan Lee in all the upcoming Marvel movies? Critical character.
I don't know.
CGI,
I've got a horrifying feeling. Yeah, they're going to CGI. So we're going to end up with the Uncanny Valley Stan Lee in comic book movies in the future, and it's going to be creepy as hell.
And I think he'd totally approve of it.
You know, I think actually Stan Lee might approve of a digital self living on after his grave. I don't know. I don't know Stan well enough, but he certainly put a lot of work into immortalizing himself. So maybe that's the final tribute, is to creep everybody out every time we watch a Marvel movie in the future.
Making some weird cartoon type character. Oh no.
But no, I mean, there's been some nastiness. Some people have said some unpleasant things, as always. When beloved characters and people die and pass on, there's always somebody out there that has to make a bad taste joke or an ill-formed comment and this, that, and the other. But
he has had a good.
I've made jokes
way
at people's
things are going.
expense. Everyone is entitled to be rude once in a while. I'm not gonna break out a meat thermometer on this one. And if people want to say what they want to say, fair enough. But everybody knows, when you say something, people remember. And Stanley was awesome. And say what you like. I've enjoyed many hours of his work.
Yeah. And he's also the chief of naming conventions.
Naming conventions.
I've never heard that.
Oh no! You're going to go into the naming convention that Stanley put up.
Oh, you're talking about the illustration.
The alliteration, yes.
James, Jonah, Joseph, something Jameson.
Yes, everyone's name is alliteration.
I was apping, mate. I don't know anybody else has done that.
It's
his signature, if you ask me.
It's a signature. It's a weird one. Fair enough. I quite liked it. Whatever. Alliteration.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting.
It's kind of cool. But yeah, no, he's died, and we've actually got a last word from Stanley. I don't know if you guys. We're gonna see if we can get this to play because.
Oh, I always wished I could do something better than comics, but there didn't seem to be anything.
What the fuck are you doing here?
And the final salute, man.
Oh, is that what?
My mother used to say that when I was having lunch or dinner at home, if I didn't have a book to read, I'd be reading the label on the ketchup bottle. And in fact, one of the gifts that I got one Christmas, my mother bought me a little metal stand that you could put a book on, so while you're eating, you could be reading the book. There were the Hardy Boys, Don Sturdy, and Tom Swift. One was an adventurer, one was an inventor. I loved Emile Zola. I loved Charles Dickens. Whenever I got an extra 50 cents, I'd buy one of those books. In those days, grown-ups hated comics, didn't want their children to read them particularly. So I figured I'm not going to use my real name, which I'm saving for posterity, for these silly comic books. So I cut my first name into two, called myself Stan Lee. And it was a living, and I was doing the best I could to make the stories a little bit better. But the kind of stories my publisher wants me to do are banal. They're juvenile. They're nothing. I said to my wife, there's got to be something better than this. So Joni said to me, why don't you write one book the way you'd like to do it? So at that time, my publisher, Martin Goodman, said, give me a new superhero book. I think superheroes may sell.
Superman!
But I didn't want to do superheroes just like Superman or Batman. I wanted something a little more original and where I played up the personality of the characters more and where there were surprises. And I came up with the Fantastic Four. And I called Jack Kirby, who was the best artist we had, and I asked him if he would draw it. It sold very well. We had never gotten fan mail before, but we started getting fan mail, and that started it. So I dreamed up Spider-Man and the Hulk and the X-Men and all the others. What I tried to do was take these characters who are obviously bigger than life and fictitious and make them seem real. They've got these powers, they do wonderful things, but what are the things that worry them? What are the things that frustrate them? I tried to write a well-rounded character with every character I did, rather than just somebody who is extra strong and can beat up the bad guys. If you're writing about people, you have to make the people come to life. I know I always loved reading Sherlock Holmes, and I loved the way Sherlock Holmes spoke, and the way Dr. Watson spoke, and you could tell one from the other. They didn't speak the same way. And the same with any good books. You didn't have to read Joe said or Sam said. You knew who said it by the way the words were written. In the beginning, I wrote all the scripts myself. I typed them out, wrote them. After a while, I was writing almost every book, and we had a lot of books, and there wasn't time to do it. Kirby would be waiting for a script, and I couldn't keep him with nothing to do. So I would say, look, Jack, I don't have time to write your script, but here's the story I want to tell.
Right, let's leave it there, because if you want to watch the rest of it, I suppose you really should go to the New York Times and watch their own content that we're blatantly stealing, as is pointed out. But yeah, it's Stan Lee in his last words. Those are the final words of the man. And he was, an inspiration to many people. I'm sure everyone's got their own personal comic book hero. Yeah. Big F. Any thoughts,
Indeed.
guys?
Well, end of an era.
Yeah.
I mean, who can really take up the mantle?
Well, there isn't very much. The British comic industry made this amazing resurgence on the back of what Marvel did in the 60s. During the 70s, you went from being Dan Dare and the Beano to much more interesting comics like 2000 AD. But that died, or it seems to have died, a fair old death in the last 20 years. And if Marvel's figures and DC's figures are anything to go by, they're going the same way. To a lesser degree, to a greater degree, I don't know. I've lost touch with comics personally.
I think it's human element, as Stan was rightly saying, and I think part of the problem might be that you basically had a passing of guard from people who lived through strife. I mean, Stan Lee was born before the Second World War.
Yeah.
So, to people who've basically had very easy lives, relatively speaking, who've never really known strife. Coming out of the tail end of the Cold War and such.
It's an interesting argument. You make a fair point. Yeah. I mean, I was a big fan of the Judge Dredd. The 2008 genre was what I grew up reading. Slane McGrath, Judge Dredd, Johnny Alpha of the Strontium Dogs, the ABC Warrior. That was my Batman and Superman, etc. And they were written by people. They were the baby boomer generation. They were the kids who had lived through the war. They had seen strife. They'd seen post-apocalyptia experienced across Europe and Asia and various others. There was still a tension and a feeling of real, of what really is real. Maybe we'll still see comic books coming out of the Middle East and so on, or some sort of art from there if they're allowed to do art. That is much more interesting than ours is, because you're quite right. The 40 and 50-year-olds of today, the people of my generation and a little older, they're kids of the 60s and the 50s. None of them have seen any sort of conflict unless they've actively gone and looked to it, unless they've actively gone and signed up for a military. And we're not talking about conscription militaries anymore. So these kids,
they're not even that though. I mean, I don't know if Stan Lee served during the war or not. He probably didn't.
No, but he.
I understand him, but
he
was everywhere.
Yeah, he would have felt the zeitgeist, and that zeitgeist was built into. I mean, they were all. It was always the Nazis that were the bad guys, but they were actual German-speaking, usually, and
or space Nazis.
Thoroughly hideous, and that was great, and that was clearly where you got it. You knew where they'd based the original sort of thing from, is the horrors that the Holocaust and the Second World War had wrought onto the psyches of these people. And Stan Lee's the last of them, just about. I think there are still one or two kicking about, but they're all in the 90s.
Yeah, they're getting on a bit. And you think about it, all those characters
Mic
you
off.
mentioned earlier, the ones that you liked, what do they all have in common?
Mic on.
What, the 2018 comics?
Yeah, and you could even throw the X-Men and Spider-Man and all that lot into
I'll
it.
tell you what they all had in common. I mean, your Judge Dredd stories. Okay, yeah, Judge Dredd's marching around like the chief police officer in the city. And he would start off that way, then something absolutely horrific would happen, would cause him a load of grief, and he would probably be a bastard and shoot a lot of people to get his way out of it. But it was always overcoming extreme difficulty. It was always a good story arc to. I mean, some of the 2000 AD, the Future Shock, the stories of Mega City 1 are amazing stories. Really, truly amazing stories. One of these days I'll cover the Hunters Club City 1. That's deserving of a reading or something. It's a great storyline. But there they had
character,
significant character.
which, you know, it's another way of saying they had flaws that they overcame.
Yeah.
You look at any of the characters that they've tried to introduce that constantly fail. They're basically Mary Sue's.
Yeah, they're
all of
always
them.
Mary Sue's. You're absolutely right. Or what's the male term is Gary Stu.
I still call that a Mary Sue.
I know everyone.
Cool.
It's just the same thing for same name essentially. Yeah, I never liked Superman for that. Superman was always the most tedious superhero there is because he's godlike in power. The guy is not a hero. The guy's not even brave. He's just doing the bare minimum necessary, not to squish everyone.
You have like godlike in power. You have Superman equivalents in Marvel.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they still have to grow as people.
Yeah.
None of this. I'm going to punch you now. Oh wait, your mum's called Martha too. Because in DC that constitutes character growth.
Fair enough. I don't know. There was some Batman DC storylines that were. I always liked Batman. Batman was
If you're going to point to the Batman animated series, I'm fully on board. But pretty much any other Batman, not so much.
Okay, first of all, Adam West's Batman is best Batman.
Oh, certainly.
Right. Okay. Glad we cleared that up.
I'd still argue the animated series had the better stories.
I think you're probably right. I think it was just, for me, generally it's the concept. It was just the angry guy with troubled past, enough money to buy himself some really good toys, and enough, you know, and enough left over for some really fine top quality scotch, and then he'd get drunk and get angry and go out and beat the crap out of criminals.
Wishful thinking projectionism, much?
I don't know. I felt I kind of understood where he's coming from. I do not go out at night dressed as a bat and fight crime, sadly.
Well, you're British, so you'd probably be like, I don't know, a hedgehog, badger, something more British at least.
Oh no, we have bats in England.
We do, but
we certainly freaking do, because someone I know had one in his goddamn loft, and the moment you've got a bat in your loft, you have so many goddamn animal welfare people going, no, I'm sorry, you can't do loft renovations, and you can't do this, that, and the other to your house, because even though you bought it, that little tiny flying goddamn rat up there has claimed ownership to your house, and actually you can't do anything about it. Sorry. Excuse me.
Jeez.
I would have poisoned the bat.
You can't. They really, really prosecute you if you suddenly make the flying rat disappear. Apparently. Anyway.
Especially if you turn up with a brand new bow tie or something.
Now that would be a quality bow tie. Shoot a bat with an air rifle, tie a piece of elastic to it, wear that to Halloween. That would be disturbing as hell, actually. That's disturbing as hell. Okay, so oops, that didn't mean to segue that over. We'll go back to Stanley for a second. Yeah, no, where was I? Bat bow ties. Yes. Yeah. That's totally thrown me. Okay, right. Moving on. R.I.P. Stan, I guess. And
Alright.
Press F.
press F, big F. So after something like that, we've had. I felt like I had to cover this because I saw this earlier on today, and it annoyed me for several reasons. Partly because this is just absolutely goddamn typical. And that is that once again we have had stolen credit cards being now put up on sale on various dark and shady sites of the internet. And once again we found out that a very, very well respected company has in fact no credibility whatsoever when it comes to data security, and have actually actively, well, not actively, but managed to let 400,000 British Airways customers' credit card details slip into the hands of people who have sold their details.
Well, it's a good thing British Airways is not a credit card company, since their credibility has just plummeted.
Yeah, and this is deeply concerning in and of its own right. I mean, if they are just credit card details, if you just had credit card details of, you know, a whole load of names and numbers of credit card, that's bad enough. But if they've also got on there the flights that people have taken, it would be very, very easy for would-be criminals to assess the wealth of said person and probable credit rating of that credit card very effectively too. Because nobody who buys a, say, £1,000 round the world ticket is going to have a small credit rating. You could probably hit that for it's very, very bad. This particular type of details is going to give people a lot of far too much information. Credit card information. How and why is this getting caught and getting sent to people? It shouldn't be. There is no reason.
Still, the kind of fact.
Well, there's no reason for a credit card detail to be kept. If I go to a shop and pay for a bag of crisps and a 6-pack of beer or whatever, and I pay by my credit card details are transferred via bank transaction. The bank clears it, and the money is basically transferred. The rest of the data there, it's all encrypted. It shouldn't need to be kept at the proprietary end. There is no reason for British Airways.
There's actually a reason.
Really?
Because a lot of places these days, when it comes to travel, especially if you're doing like short hauls, let's say if you're going from London to Edinburgh,
Yes.
when you book online, but you then present your credit card on the day to get your ticket.
Right.
So they do actually need to keep your credit card identity at least that long.
Yeah, I actually personally hate that system. I have done for a long time. Always thought it was a critically flawed system right there.
Oh, certainly, but it's convenient.
Oh yeah, it's really convenient. It's wonderfully convenient right up until the moment that it's not convenient anymore because someone's nicked all of your shit.
Well, it's convenient for everyone. You, the plane company, the thief.
So,
everyone wins.
So yeah, basically my advice is that anyone that you know has been on a British Airways flight recently, I would suggest within the last couple of years, to change their credit card details, to check all of their credit card details, check all of their receipts, etc., which they should do anyway, but very few people check them as thoroughly as they should do. And yeah, be on the warn, because there's 400,000 people out there who've basically are about to get their pants pulled down in a very, very unpleasant manner.
Assuming that's all.
Yeah, I mean this is
more.
That's it. I mean it could be 10 times that.
But But it could be worse, dude. At least it was their credit cards, not their debit cards. Credit card companies are generally quite good at protecting you from this if you've noticed something strange.
The credit card, yes, they're very good at protecting you, and yes, everybody gets their money paid back. The debit card companies are just the same. They're all covered by insurance, but then you wonder why you've got, I don't know what the credit card interest is these days, 20% or whatever it is, 17. That's how you end up with that sort of level of interest on your credit cards, is because they're having to pay fraud. Frankly, it would be nice if this didn't happen. And whilst it is the fault of the criminals, without a doubt, they are behaving in a criminal manner, there is a significant amount of fault on the credit card companies and British Airways for not treating people's data carefully enough. 400,000 customers, British Airways. All you need to do is find out which ones of those numbers were booked on first class on British Airways, and I guarantee you they will be massive credit limits and people that don't even look at their credit card number. It's just, oh god, the risk there on that type of data with that level of payment, that level of detail. Yeah, they've really screwed a lot of people in a big way with this one.
Very.
Absolutely total disgrace. Let's have a look. Oh, and
did they say how they did it?
Research from cybersecurity experts Flashpoint and Risk IQ has shown that credit card details were on sale for between $9. I'm not even going to talk about how little it would cost you to buy these credit card details. They would. I'm not actually registered with the Telegraph, so I can't get the. I should probably
Start reporting.
But yeah, no, it's there's a brief blame that it might have been a Russian linked group known as Mage Cart.
But just caught up for me. Cyber hack on the airline's website. So this is probably a SQL injection attack, which means. But this way, if you have to store data, there should be no way that data should be able to be called up from the website. There's no need for it.
Yeah.
Which means they just left a gaping door open and someone just walked in.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. They should know
the details.
Yeah. They've no need for doing this, and this is just a disgrace. So if this has happened to you, sue British Airways. Sue them until their fucking pants come off. You might end up owning a plane in the process. Anyway. Next bit of news. We've had a. Should we talk international politics for a second?
Sure, why not?
Because it seems Emmanuel Macron is being a bit of a. Well, he's being bloody French. Well, not even being French. If he was being truly French, he'd have run off and not said this. But he has basically all out claimed that there is a desperate need for a true European army.
Oh, not this again.
A true European army, a united European army to defend themselves against the threats of Russia and the United States of America. Why don't they just add England into that, and we would be then talking about a European army defending against the allies of Russia, US, and UK. And last time we were doing that, we were defending, twice in the last century. Those exact two nations have had to save Europe from eating itself freaking alive because Germany decided to go on a power fucking kick. And Macron, you.
So they want an EU army to help defend them. How much are they going to put into it? Because if you look at how much they put into NATO, I'm thinking they want an EU army, so they don't have to have a French army.
Do you have any idea how many times I got told I was a complete crackpot and a conspiracy theorist? During the Brexit stuff that was going off before the election, before the They
Before they announced it,
Before
the day after
Brexit-
Brexit.
before Brexit had happened, yeah, whilst we were actually campaigning for Brexit, yeah, I was standing there telling people, EU wants a European army. They want to become, no, you're a madman. You're a conspiracy theorist nutter, etc. And fuck me. And he says it because he needs defense against America? The country that saved their asses twice last
The
century?
country that's basically giving
And
them an army
Russia.
for free right now.
Hey, Macron, you need fucking hanging, mate. Oh, and
Don't worry about it. If it's made up of French members,
it
they'll
won't be
just
made up
surrender
of
when
the
America comes a
French.
knocking
It
anyway.
won't be made up of the French. The French haven't got an army. Haven't been able to keep. No, it will be made up of the one nation that's not allowed to have a national army in Europe.
Germany.
Bingo! And then we're going to have a united European army full of German soldiers controlling Europe, and we may as well have not fought Hitler.
It's not. No, it's going to be full. It's going to full of European soldiers, but German officers.
Yeah. No, what they'll do is they'll mix them up. You will get Europeans, you'll get Polish, you'll get Hungarian, you'll get whoever. And what they'll do is they'll take the Polish squaddies and they'll put them in France. They'll take the French squaddies, they'll put them in Poland. They'll take the Hungarian squaddies and stick them in Germany. And they'll stick the Germans in France and in Spain and everywhere, so that nobody has the soldiers from their home country in their country. And that way they can use the army as a suppression tool against the population.
All under the banner of like cultural inclusion or something.
Yes, absolutely. It's a very, very, very old technique. They used to do it with mercenaries in the days of kings. We've been doing this for hundreds of years, and they're going to do it again, and Europe is going to let them, and then they're going to be screaming, "Oh my God, they're killing us! Help, help!" And is America going to run in and help them again? Is England going to run in and help them again? At this point, I'm half tempted to tell them to fuck themselves. I'm half tempted to say, yes, we're going to come in and help you, and then we're going to stick a British flag off the fucking Eiffel Tower, and England is going to become even Greater Britain with Europe as one of our vassals. That's what we will do. Well, that's what I would do anyway. But anyway.
I'll be like, you made your bed.
Fuck Macron. Seriously, fuck him.
I think that's nothing more can be added to that. Let's be perfectly honest.
Right.
Except for maybe introducing the new Chipotle cheesesteak, because that seemed like a random thing to have on that article.
Chipotle cheesecake? Cheesesteak?
It's right above the headline.
Introducing the new Chipotle cheesecake. Well, Chipotle cheesesteak is important. The cheesesteak sandwiches is significantly. Damn, I've just noticed. Yes, okay, alright, yeah. Apparently, people are saying they can hear my mic saying when it's on and when it's off. I got a driver update for my Corsair mic headset today, and it has been nothing but goddamn problems all day. For a start, it used to go bleep when it was off.
Mic off. Mic on.
And then it would go bleep when the mic was switched on. And now, they've decided to change that, and now it's got this sort of woman's voice going, mic on, mic off, in my ear, which is kind of weird. And and yeah, no, it's been weird.
AI's taking over.
It's done strange things to my headset, and I'm not totally happy about it. But I've just about got it working properly again. So, yeah.
You can always roll back the driver.
I don't want to, because actually half the driver set looks really, really cool. But it seems like they've spent more time trying to work out how to make the different LEDs flash in different orders on stuff than actually being a cool and functioning driver so much. Anyway. Shall we, yeah, so that's right. Yeah, no, Trump apparently not happy. Not happy
why?
about about Macron. And now I know, yeah, okay, Breitbart is saying this, and there will be people that decry Breitbart as being biased. But
I'm
the
actually
the
happy
Washington
for this.
Post, the Washington Post is also putting this across. So we've got some sort of coverage on both. So yes,
Oh my god, the face of Trump there.
he's yeah, that's kind of yeah. You can shake my hand, you little bitch, but basically fuck yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, to be honest, I'm actually happy this has happened because the more the European politicians upset Trump, the more likely he is to renege on saying he doesn't want to deal with England.
He wanted to stay out of England until the EU and England got their divorce bill sorted out. That's my main impression on it. Donald Trump.
I guess no one wants to be the rebound union.
I mean, yeah, you know what? I'm going to say this. I've been wanting to say this actually on a recording that we've got a timestamp on because I've said this for a few years now. I said this when Donald Trump was running in 2016, and this is just more of the same. Donald Trump is an interesting animal as far as being a president is concerned. He's not your normal politician, as we all know. He reminded me when he first started running of the character Zaphod Beeblebrox from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Not in his actual antics, and certainly he's missing an extra head and an arm to be Zaphod. But the idea of a president that is so off the wall that he has the entire planet staring aghast, going, "Oh my God, what on earth is he going to do next?" Whilst actually never doing any real damage, he's captured the entire imagination of the whole planet. Everyone is standing there, staring. They can't wait to hear the latest news about Donald Trump and the antics he gets up to. At this point, he could steal a spacecraft and bugger off, and no one would be actually... We would be like, wow, well, we kind of expected that.
From GTA's NASA.
Well, yeah, kind of thing. That is the character of Zaphod Beeblebrox in the books. But the whole idea of why is actually a little more insidious in that he's actually put there to fulfill that exact role, in that he is literally the greatest showman in the world, in the universe, dancing on the stage of international or intergalactic politics, whilst the actual work of intergalactic, in this case international politics, is being done behind the scenes. And I said that in 2016, I said that all last year, and I've said it a few times this year. I'm still convinced Donald Trump is, to a large part, a Zaphod Beeblebrox type president. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I like Zaphod. I kind of like Trump. I kind of find a lot of what he does hilarious, and yet everything seems to be still going good in the background. And you know, so is he? I don't know. Is he a showman? Is he the world's greatest show, or is he the world's greatest showman?
I'll put it to you that if and when he builds a moon fortress in the shape of a Nike trainer, then yes, he is.
Well, we've already got Space Force on the way.
Somewhere. Yeah, he will need someone to house his Space Marine chapter.
Yeah, watch Space Force. Wait to see if it's a gigantic sneaker-shaped spacecraft, and then we'll know. Then we'll know that it's Douglas Adams was right all along. Oh, can you imagine? You know what? Actually, if the Douglas Adams books become the new religion, and in 1,000 years' time, people are praying to Douglas and hailing the prophet Ford, it would be a more interesting and funnier world than it is now.
One way of putting it.
Priests wandering around in bathrobes. Drinking beer and peanuts.
Surely they'd just be wearing many towels.
No, Arthur was always wearing his bathrobe. He was always in a dressing gown. Pretty much
Yes,
for the
I thought you
first
said
book.
they were disciples of Ford.
Well, No, Ford would be a prophet, but I think Arthur would have to be the main character, really, of your religion. So your priests would definitely have the bathrobe, and communion would be a bag of peanuts and a pint of beer, so that you can deal with the first time you ever
I'm going to
teleport.
come back to something I said early. Wish fulfilling projectionism much?
Look, yes, a bit. If the world could be the world of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, it would be more fun. I'm just saying. And don't deny that that's right. That's the truth, because the idea of a bowl of petunias going, oh no, not again, with good reason, is just startling.
I think I'd prefer the unironic flat earth of Terry Pratchett.
Oh, what was it? Yes, no. Oh,
Discworld.
Discworld. I didn't do the.
It's all right. There's still time to convert you.
Yes. And actually, it's good stuff. Pratchett's work, because Pratchett's work I can start and finish. It's not like there's huge amounts of it still coming out. It's because he has died now. Has he died?
He's died, but he bequeathed the stewardship of Discworld to his daughter.
Oh, really? I like that.
And she is working on new content.
I like that. Part of that's kind of cute.
And she is the one who wrote the story for Dungeon Keeper 2.
Is she?
Yes.
That's interesting.
Crikey.
Not to name drop, but I did meet her once, so we had a nice chinwag about Dungeon Keeper and Overlord.
Not a name drop, but I'm going to name drop. Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Hey, look, you got to be Batman and Arthur tonight. Let me have my thunder.
Fair enough. Have thunder. Shall we get back onto a quick bit of news? Because I thought I saw this and I thought this was hilarious because, well, to be honest, it part of me just thinks that this is, well, I'll put the thing in the article up, but as far as I can tell, this is more help than hindrance on some levels. America and Europe and NATO in general have been having a major military exercise. Basically, been having fun and games, running around, blowing stuff up, shooting, and hiding in woods. All good fun and laughs, but apparently, Russia has been accused of jamming GPS signals during these major war games and making things extraordinarily difficult because people were getting lost and generally buggering things up a little bit. I don't think it, as far as I can tell, there's actually no reports of it actually causing. I mean, it was, yeah, but it says here, it was impaired by a significant jamming effort across northern Finland last week. Here's the thing. They're doing a war game where you're trying to simulate how you act out a situation, a war scenario. The fact that Russia may or may not have sat there from their side of the border, not far away from Finland, and added a bit of electronic countermeasures to the general melee. Well, that's kind of what happens in war. Part of me sort of says this is kind of par for the course, and if you can't put up with a bit of jamming, you need to sort out your systems, because if you can't, I mean,
there are a bunch of news based on systems with the freaking AI targeting.
Well, to a degree, this bothers me more than it should, because it should be a case of this story should read like this. You know, Russia tried to disrupt, war games with ECM jamming. Lol, silly Russians. That hasn't worked since the 50s. Ha ha ha. Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear. But not lots of people have all been thrown off by it.
It just goes to show that none of these soldiers were scouts.
Look at this. This is not a joke. It threatened the air security of ordinary people by... Yes, it... The whole thing is not a joke. It is a military exercise. And again, here, in October 2017, NATO troops stationed in Poland and the Baltics claimed their smartphones were being attacked by hackers. Yes, you're in the military. Welcome to playing war games, you fucking bunch of noobs. Yeah, this is not civilian life. You are playing war games. People will attack you by any means necessary, and you should be kind of playing that game. Otherwise, you shouldn't be in the army or intelligence service or any of it. Just this is par for what you're playing at, and this shouldn't be news. And if it should be news, it should be lol. Look at how stupid the Russians are for trying this, or you just put in there going, the Russians decided to join in an uninvited way. It helped out loads. Thanks. We'd been trying to work out how to simulate an attack by that. That sort of thing. You spin it. Or you don't even need to spin it. But this is, I mean...
We are weak to electronic attacks.
No, we're not.
Don't do that.
This is the ridiculous thing. Whoever put this story out... I've actually got doubts about this story, the way it's written and the way it's positioned. Because that's that plane in the background that they've got from it's a Tupolev Tu-142. It's an ECM plane. It's also from it's an old prop plane. It's a relic from the Cold War. If this is an issue, everything that's been going off in them,
I love the line where it's like GPS attacks could become a viable weapon in the future. It's like it's already a viable weapon to use against civilian populations.
That's been
for a while.
It's been a viable.
You can shut down Uber using it.
Did they not see? I mean, I hate to bring up Christmas movies at this time of year because we are coming into that time of year. But Die Hard 2, yeah. They actually they bring down planes by messing with the ILS system. Now, okay, that's the height system that the planes are working at, but it's an electronic navigation system nonetheless. Electronic navigation systems have always been a critical weakness, certainly for civilian. Military use a more hardened system, but I'm irked by this.
Don't worry about it.
I'm irked that it was even reported in this way. It shouldn't have been that particular.
Maybe you're looking at this completely wrong way. Maybe this is a false flag article where it's like, lol, we can't do anything when you block our GPS, Russia. Please don't use it for real.
Maybe.
Meanwhile, they just don't care. They're just completely fine.
Either way, not massively impressed with the way. Yeah, it was a. More from Breitbart. Breitbart does write some nonsense sometimes. Jack Dorsey has been quoted as saying he's basically been criticising the follower system on Twitter.
The what?
The follower system. I don't think the follower system is right, according to Jack Dorsey. That's the whole basis of Twitter and social media is the follower system. But it's actually incentivizing you to increase your number of followers, and that may have been right 12 years ago, but I don't think it's right today.
Is this meant to be a vaguely veiled attack on Trump?
It's not even that. What this is a vaguely... I mean, there's a lot of drivel. He doesn't actually go into a huge amount on this. I think it's more important is the number of meaningful conversations you're having on that platforms and the number of...
I can answer that easily. Zero.
What he's trying to say is what this is this is a move to what they've noticed with social media, whoever they may be, what has been noticed with social, it's what people have noticed with social media is that in social media you get anomalies happening, whereby random people from the general public who haven't gone through the training and the universities and the right schooling and done the time as an intern and this, that, and the other, are suddenly, all of a sudden, becoming popular on the social media. And how dare they? They haven't been through the indoctrination yet. They're not accredited to be popular yet. They might have the wrong opinion, and so Jack doesn't like it. What he wants is meaningful conversations with the right people, from the right people, with the right intentions, and so on. And other people don't get to just shout into the wind. So yeah, no, he's off to meet the Dalai Lama. Nice to be able to do that. But
he didn't like the Dalai Lama.
Well, they didn't like the Dalai Lama because the Dalai Lama thinks Europe should be full of Europeans and India should be full of Indians and Nepalese people should be in Nepal and China should be, etc. And obviously he's a wrong thinker on that
Very
front because the refugee.
narrow-minded?
No, he's not. He was actually very, very clear about his reasonings, and if you want to read on what the Dalai Lama thinks on that, I suggest you don't listen to what I've got to say on it. I suggest you go and check out the Dalai Lama and what he says on it. Don't take other people's opinions on what a great man says.
Well, no.
Listen to the great man.
Well, no, just
Don't contradict that. That was an absolutely perfect statement. Well, no, but don't listen to what people think of the great man. Think about the great man. Make your own mind up. Process the information firsthand, rather than just somebody else's opinion.
Damn it, I was just thinking about the statement, not the character.
Shush.
Hey, I just thought it was better for, loads of different cultural backgrounds to work together. But
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. I don't. Multiculturalism fails massively, dude.
yeah, but working within their own culture would be far more successful. Be a lot less translation problems, I would say.
Yes. Because what the Dalai Lama was saying was, like I said, don't make assumptions. Don't think you know what he's saying by hearing what I've said. Yeah, go listen to what he says himself. Yeah, make your own opinion on it. I've said all I will on it. I tend to be in agreement with the Dalai Lama. I can't remember his words exactly and explicitly. Go look it up. I strongly sort of believe in first source information. Don't. This is why I sit here and laugh at stuff and just go, this is absurd and here's my opinion on it. It's entertaining, but if you really want to go and look at stuff, go and look at the stuff yourself. Never take anyone's word for it.
In other news, Twitter decides to rebrand themselves as Echo Chamber.
That's what they're doing there. You're absolutely right. This is exactly what Jack is saying. Is he wants to turn Twitter into more of an echo chamber, so people get to listen and have conversations with the important people, and you don't have to have followers yourself. We will see where that goes, but I think it's probably the end of Twitter.
People have been saying that for quite a while. They're still limping on though.
Yeah. Had some more news as well because I've got some funny stuff I want to get to shortly, and I've got two other things to cover before we get to the fun stuff, and I kind of want to run through it quite quickly, but they're worth covering. First one is not a proud moment for the customs people of England. It seems that if you actually want drugs and firearms, the best person to talk to may well have been, up until recently, a member of the customs at a certain port. Apparently, these lovely, fine, upstanding members of the knock. Customs, those nice people that stand in airports and reach up into your arse to check to see whether or not you've.
Well, the guy in the middle looks like a Peter.
Okay, dude, you nobody knows what a pedo looks like. You can't be saying shit like that. That aside, stop making. I mean, that's a ridiculous thing to say. Really, they're just a group of guys. More importantly, they're a group of guys that were smuggling drugs and firearms into the United Kingdom. You want to know? Yeah, yikes.
That for?
Pardon?
Does it say how long they've been doing that for?
Well, the 8 containers that they were caught with contained £3.4 million worth of heroin, cocaine, 2 revolvers, 8 pistols, and some ammunition. To be honest, the amount of guns there sound more like protection for the colossal amount of drugs.
Okay.
Yeah, guns don't have a colossally high value. The drugs do.
I can't even take a bottle of water on the plane.
Yeah, because these guys stop you. These are the guys that are stopping you, going, "Oh no, I'm terribly sorry. I know that's a penknife on your keyring, and I know it's only a tiny, tiny little thing, but no, you can't partake that on here. And no, you've got to eat with plastic knife and fork. Meanwhile, don't worry about it. I'll get these guns to you to the other side, no problem at all for you, or whatever. So yeah, scumbags, and we'll just yeah." Oh, it looks like we've got a handful of pistols of various types. We're not going to go into exactly which pistols they are. And it looks like a silencer as well. And yeah, so that's
which website are we gracing at the moment?
Well, this is the BBC News.
Thanks.
I'm sorry, I'm being a bit distracted by the first article on the right. That's all. Why is that on BBC?
Oh, Stanley?
No, above it.
Oh, the remarkable tale of Hitler's Jewish sweetheart. I don't know.
What is that doing?
What?
I don't know. We always, to be fair, we always knew Hitler had a bit of a soft spot for the Jews. There was always a special place in his heart. I don't know. Maybe she broke his heart and he really took it badly. I don't know.
Talk about a woman's score, and what about Hitler's score?
Damn. Yeah. I shall we click it? Shall we have a? I wasn't ready for this.
This may actually answer all the questions.
Shall we have a look? This might be.
This might just blow the roof off.
At first glance, the picture of a man hugging the beaming young girl appears to show a scene of great happiness. But at a closer look, a far darker tale. This is Adolf Hitler, the man behind the murder of 6 million Jews, and the little girl is Jewish. Despite this, Hitler would go on to build a friendship with Rosa Bernay-Ninu, which only ended when top Nazi officials intervened 5 years later. And this now rare signed image from 1933 is going up for auction in the United States.
My word.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
What the fudge?
So hold on.
He just wanted to make friends and play games. It was the evil party that made him what he was.
It was a shared birthday which brought a little girl and the Nazi leader together.
Wow.
According to the auction site, Rosa and her mother had joined the crowds outside Hitler's Alpine retreat, Berghof, in 1933, on his birthday. It is through that, when he discovered that Rosa had the same birthday, he invited Rosa and her mother, Caroline, to the house where these photographs were taken. Not long afterwards, it was discovered that Caroline's mother had been Jewish, making Rosa Jewish in the eyes of the Nazi state. But this did not dissuade Hitler from carrying on his friendship with the girl, who he had sent a signed copy of the photograph. The dear and considerate Rosa Neo, Adolf Hitler, Munich, on the 16th of June, 1933, he wrote.
Oh my
Rosa,
word.
it appears, later added her own stamp on the photo, drawing flowers onto the black and white image. She would write to Hitler and his aide, Wilhelm Bruckner, on at least 17 occasions between 1935 and 1938, until she and her mother, a widow, were told to cut off contact by the Nazis' leader's private secretary, Martin Bormann. Hitler was unimpressed by the order, Hoffman would later say. There are people who have true talent for spoiling every joy, Hoffman recalls the Nazi leader telling in his book.
God, understatement
that
much.
when
So what we're seeing here is 1939 through to 45 was just a elongated temper tantrum from him having to cut contact.
Here's an interesting fact, though. The photograph, sorry. The year after Bormann cut off contact, World War II began. By the time it ended 6 years later, 6 million Jews would be dead. Rosa did not survive the war either. She died of polio, age 17, in a hospital in Munich, 1943, a decade after her first meeting with Hitler.
That's pretty fucked.
No, you know what surprises me there a little is when did they start the camps? When was the rounding up begun? Because
the rounding up happened before the war.
right. Yet she, who was known to be Jewish, age 17, died in a hospital in Munich in 1943. That's weird.
Why is it weird?
It's very,
Because
very
she's
surprising.
Jewish.
She's Jewish and in Munich in 1943.
And not just that she's Jewish, she's a known Jew to the Nazi Party.
Yeah, that's
High-profile Jew. If it was this day and age, she'd basically be PewDiePie levels of famous.
That's really, really, really weird. I'm not going to start my noggin jogging or activating any almonds at this point, but it's kind of weird.
It is, isn't it?
Anyway, I'm going to move on from that.
Sorry for that segue. It was just
that's taken me to an interesting place. Anyway, in more recent news, Theresa May has called special cabinet meeting as divorce deal reached at technical level. Now, this is 4 hours ago. From what I've heard, is basically Theresa May has pulled in every member of the cabinet one by one, and each member of the cabinet will be called individually into Downing Street tonight ahead of a full meeting tomorrow, where it's hoped the deal will be signed off. Now, I can't speculate exactly what that means.
Did you say one by one?
One by one. Yes.
Oh, God, the bullying tactics continue.
Precisely, that was what my theory is that she's bringing them in one by one to browbeat them into agreeing with her. And if they go in a gang and go, no, you're wrong, she might not be able to argue.
And she let nothing check us. They'll agree with her in the room, but then on the taxi cab home, they'll loudly disavow it.
Yeah, and they'll all talk about it tonight, and they'll work out a good way of sticking the knife in tomorrow. Good luck, Theresa. I hope you've got a decent deal, because if you haven't, we'll all have the knives out for you.
Well, you know what she said. No deal is better than a bad deal.
Which, it's funny you should say that. That's exactly what the ministers have been saying to her, according to the Telegraph. Brexit endgame. Theresa May warned by ministers that no deal is better than bowing to Brussels. Damn.
Certainly.
So yeah, that's kind of cool.
I never understood this aspect of Brexit. Is that when they're talking about a deal, what are we trying to get out of it? I mean, in theory, I understand, but in practice, it seemed to always revolve about what we would give up or give them. So it always felt like we were in the no deal area from day one. Because
what if they're kind of screwed and there's some kind of we owe Europe a bunch or something, but we don't know about it, and now they've got to try and work somewhere.
Well,
right.
Here's how it works on the world stage, D. Ultimately, anything someone says you've got to do for them, it's enforced by guns. Yeah. If Europe turns to us and says, you owe us, what was the divorce bill, like 30 billion, 40 billion? It keeps
Texas.
changing.
What if
We
they're
can just turn
kinda
around and say,
screwed
you and what
there's
army?
some kind of we owe you
And they
a
literally
bunch of
can't do anything
something, but
about it
we don't
unless they
know
have an
about it,
army.
and now they've got oh, that's why they're trying to get an army.
Part of it.
This is interesting.
The thing is, what needs to be sorted out with regards the EU, the EU deal, splitting up from the EU. You have your trading agreement. So, what constitutes a bag of flour? What constitutes a jar of marmalade? What constitutes a packet of bacon?
Okay.
Standards of their own, etc. So you can't. So moldy food that's. You have to agree on
like
various
bananas
standards.
that are not bendy enough.
Yeah, precisely. All these things that have been issues at some point or another, have to be discussed. So you end up with a huge number of things that are trifling. You've then got stuff like engineering standards. So metals to certain degrees of tolerances. You have electronic goods being capable of functioning for specific numbers of amounts of time so that they're good enough to be sold. So there's huge numbers of standards and so on just in economic goods. Then you've got things like the travel and flight. Then you've got trade at a larger level and trades in stocks, trades in information. Who can trade in information, who can trade in currency, who can trade and who can perform journalism. In certain countries, they have journalistic standards that differ from other countries.
If you notice, like, none of that ever seemed to come up. It always, what can England do for Europe?
Yes. And
all those things, like, about half of that stuff is stuff that we can just decide for ourselves, like standards. We don't have to adhere to their standards, or we could just continue to adhere.
Here's the stupid, nonsensical part of the whole thing. Is it's really, really easy for England to maintain trade with Europe at European levels. Why? Because we're already trading at European standards. In fact, we're one of the few European countries that do. Most of them have iffy sort of bits where it's okay as long as we do it this particular way, and cop-outs and cons and various other fiddles that seem to happen all the way across Europe. Nonetheless, we do trade to European standards. So why this whole Brexit deal has to be so convoluted, it's untrue. Because all we needed to do is go, right, okay, here's your standards. Yes, we will export to Europe with these standards. Great.
Wait, have we ever actually said no to anything that the EU has demanded?
Not recently. Not since the Tony Blair government. Not since before Tony Blair government, to be honest.
And especially during the Brexit deal, it's like, at least how it was reported, was always, we offer them this, we're bending over backwards, and then Juncker says, no, it's not enough.
Yeah, there's been...
And somehow the newspapers make out that we're the bad guys in that.
There's been an awful lot in the newspapers that's been fairly nonsensical. That's the way Brexit in general. Not massively happy about the way a lot of it's been done, to be honest. But yes, totally kowtowing to Brussels and becoming a vassal state is utterly nonsense. And
they may force it through.
Should never have had a Remainer running the country
no one else
afterwards.
Stepped up, though. And I reckon that's because everyone thought whoever stepped up first would be basically stabbed in the back repeatedly. And somehow May has avoided that. Probably because she's so incompetent that people don't want to get close enough to do the backstabbing.
True. No, I don't know. Can't happen soon enough, and I'm in agreement with the ministers. If it means bowing down to Brussels in the way that we are having it proposed at the moment, then no deal. We just go, right, okay, you deal with us in the same way you deal with Japan or any other country, and we'll sign new deals. Sure, here's some ready to sign. If you want your manufacturers to continue trading with us, sign here now. That's
I
how you
reckon
deal
though,
with it.
what's going to happen is we're going to get
If you turned up to the EU, seriously, you turned up to the EU and went, right, no deal. Here's our set of trade agreements. Sign them, or we stop trading with you as of effectively 12 midday. You would have every single European manufacturer on the phone to those ministers going, sign it. I don't care what you say. You sign it, or you don't have a job next time you're elected. And they would sign. Europe exports so much and does so much trading with England. They have to do the deal. We're trying to. May is being so fucking nice to Europe. It's untrue. She doesn't need to be. She shouldn't be.
She wants to be nice to Europe.
She wants to be a complete.
I mean, she isn't she pro-globalism?
Yeah, she's pro-globalism. She never wanted to be out of the EU in the first place, and she wanted to retire to a nice fat job in the EU after she'd finished with British politics and end up on a couple of million a year. And we've taken that away from her by voting for Brexit. We have knackered the retirement prospects of so many politicians in England. All of them.
Which is
all
ridiculous
wanted to do a few years in Britain and then bugger off to the EU on an impenetrable salary, on the biggest gravy train there is, and that's why they're all angry.
It's also ridiculous when you consider the golden goodbye, or whatever the phrase is, golden handshake goodbye, for politics in general, nationally speaking, ignoring the EU, is still very generous.
I actually don't think it is. They get, what is it, a prime minister, an ex-prime minister gets something like £110,000 a year in expenses, and they get another stipend as a pension. All in all, it works out at about $750,000 a year.
And you're saying that's not that much?
No.
That puts them in like the top 8% of the country.
Seriously, dude, have you seen what MEPs and senior officials in Europe get? It's ridiculous. They were looking at taking that from England, and then going to Europe and getting 4 or 5 times that per year, every year for the rest of their lives, just for sitting there and eating caviar and drinking champagne with a bunch of other Eurocrats. We have seriously stabbed them in the wallet by wanting Brexit. That's why they're so angry with us.
Good. Bad. Fuck them.
No, my take on this is that, everyone knows, well, I say everyone, I think most people know what we really want out of Brexit. But I think what will actually happen is we'll get to about a week or 2 weeks before the deadline.
Yeah, we'll get stuffed.
And Juncker and his cronies will graciously give us an extension after playing hardball all this time. And we'll accept it. And then when we eventually work out a deal with them, that is Checkers 2.0.
They'll still work out a way of getting people from England to be members of the European Parliament as some sort of advisory manner. And once they can do that, they'll all calm down about it. Because that's what they wanted. They want the gravy train and their pension. And that's why all of the politicians wanted to stay in Europe. Because there's so much money. Yes! Welcome to the real world. We're a bunch of self-serving, money-hungry scumbags that are too eager to get their troughs in the bowl of public money.
Snouts in a trough.
Yeah. Socialism is full of them. Every socialist government, they're just huge amounts of it, unaccountable tax money. Let's just fill our bellies, scumbags, a lot of them. Anyway. Something far more amusing, just as we're winding down. There's 2 things I wanted to bring your attention to, because the first one I didn't predict, but I can see this really actually being quite likely. The studies have shown that are predicting that in the rise of self-driving vehicles, that more and more people will be engaging in shagging in cars whilst driving.
Okay.
I'm personally, I mean, women have
You can have tinted windows and shit. You're all good. It's all good.
people have been having
Self-driving vehicles will turn cars into brothels on wheels. I mean, I'm sorry. Is that what people consider airplanes? Brothels in the air?
No, I know. Yeah, it's a little more public in an airplane. The simple fact is that there are certain people out there that will engage in sexual activity in moving vehicles. There are
Anywhere.
Yeah, there are a number of accidents that have been recorded that shouldn't have been fatal, but the lady in the car choked to death, and the gentleman died from significant trauma to the groin, type injuries. Believe it or not, it happens more often than you'd realise.
And that's why you should always wear your seatbelts, folks.
That's why you should always pull over into a parked area when you're. I'm not going to comment on what people do for adventure, but sometimes they get hurt. The self-driving car thing, that would make that easier. It would take some of the danger aspect. I nearly said fun, didn't I? I do not engage in activities whilst driving. That would be extremely reckless. Anyway,
Doesn't mean it wouldn't be fun.
Moving on. So basically, they reckon that the Teslas are just going to be basically driving around and shagging whilst their car drives them to work or to the shops or to wherever.
I'm just sitting here imagining the Teslas, kind of like the old clown cars, but instead of clowns getting out,
you can just see the cars bouncing along down the road, down the motorway. You're driving along, you're driving in a truck and you're in from an elevated view and you can look through the windows and you're like, oh, hello.
I think they'll need to have some self-driving trucks very quickly.
Keep alongside this one, that's quite a show. Oh, Christ. I'll have accidents happening all over the place.
Have the AI say, you're about to approach your destination.
Does this mean you're going to get lonely blokes who don't have girlfriends going on long journeys and just sort of sliding into the back seat, sticking on some porn and knocking one out whilst they're on the way to the...
Okay, this is an aspect of the story I didn't want to hear.
Yeah, man, you can pay for the optional extras, the female dolls.
No, just no.
I think we're missing one other aspect of this, though. If you've got a self-driving car, that means you can have your glass of wine.
Well, here's the thing. Apparently, certainly according to English law, that the way the English law is written, it's drunk in charge of a vehicle. As you are still in charge of that vehicle, even though you're not driving it, it still stands. In fact, you can be arrested for being drunk in charge of a vehicle if you are drunk and in the front seat of your car and have your car keys in the car with you.
Yeah, in the ignition or something.
Well, see, that just sounds like to me that you can have a new industry pop up.
That is
you sign over control of the self-driving vehicle to another company and say that company's responsible.
Yeah, I don't like the sound of that. No, but that is the law in England, though. Yeah, so if you've got your keys in your pocket, you've been to the pub and you've had too many, and you decide, you know what, I'm going to kip in my car. You go to sleep in your car. If you're in the driver's seat, I think you can get away with it in the back seat, but if you're in the driver's seat of your car with your keys in your pocket, the police can come along and nick you for being, drunk in charge of a vehicle. It's not happened to me, but that certainly has been a warning I was given. I don't know whether it's been rewritten since then, but certainly I wouldn't risk that myself. Sorry, Whitney.
Isn't having sex in the car when you're out on the road classed as an invasion?
Yes, it's incredibly illegal. It's also driving it's also reckless driving, reckless endangerment. Yes, the list of driving offences that are involved in having sex whilst driving is colossal.
So having an AI drive your car kind of eradicates a lot of that.
No, it doesn't. You're still in charge of the vehicle. Legally, you would still be just as responsible.
But if they've got ownership,
Who's got ownership? What?
so basically, it would be more like like a taxi company.
You can't have Johnny Cabs, and no, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. You will still be the human in the vehicle will still be the one legally responsible in the current state of the law.
What if it's like a robot?
It is a robot. It's nothing like a robot. We are talking specifically about robots.
Yeah.
Yeah,
More
so-
specifically, it's an autonomous robot.
Yes. Makes all the decisions itself, and yet you, as the human being that's along for the ride in the car, it doesn't matter if you're drunk, having sex, whatever, you are still responsible for that vehicle. And if it has an accident, you will be the one that is responsible for it. Technically, in England, in a self-driving car,
robot, then?
in a self-driving car in England, you have to have your both hands on the steering wheel at all times.
Even though it's a self-driving car.
Even though it's a self-driving car. The reason being...
Right, so hang on. Does that mean that you can't have a self-driving car that drives up to pick you up?
You can have it, but it can't be driving up to pick you up on a public road. It can do it on your own path. But if it decided you'd left it in the train station and you wanted it to drive home to come and park itself in your drive because you took a taxi last night. If you wanted it to do that, no, it couldn't be driving autonomously on the roads at the present moment. It would be.
Who would be liable for that?
I don't know. I don't know how the police would pull it over, and there's all sorts of questions on how. But as I understand it, no, you can't have a car driving around without a driver in it.
Do you remember that old Men in Black movie with the inflatable driver?
I also remember
cool.
I remember Airplane.
Black
The
too.
original Airplane had the autopilot was inflatable. Do you remember that? You tell me you've seen that movie.
Yes, of course I remember that.
With the manual inflation device, just underneath the belt buckle for the air hostess to inflate it.
That did seem to make him happy. I wonder how they would respond to that in regards to this article.
Oh, you know what? You're right.
Is the autonomous autopilot not allowed to have fun whilst driving?
Question is, can you still drive the vehicle whilst that's going on?
What? That made no sense. Well, what's going on?
While you're having a lot of fun.
Well, some people think they can.
Simply stated, yes, you can drive a vehicle whilst having a lot of fun, shall we say. But, as I said, the risk of the significant other choking to death and the male dying from significant groin injury, should there be even the slightest accident...
I've got a very simple solution to this, Trig. We just install seatbelts in the foot compartment.
Stops them from
It's
driving.
not going to... You're missing the whole mouth around penis whilst in accident bad bit.
But she's got a gum shield, is holding her mouth open, it's fine. What on earth are we looking at here? Oh, that one.
There you go. Autopilot.
That looks like a very happy autopilot.
That's it. I might use that as a thumbnail for this.
I just...
Airplane. I wonder if you can buy an inflatable autopilot.
No, Trig, no. That's way leads to... I'll just leave that hanging.
Yeah, just leave that there. Right, so we've had automatic car. I think it's more of a, as far as it's the, who is it? New York Post. It's some rag putting this up. New York Post. Yeah, people will be sleeping in vehicles and this, that, and the other. Yeah. Yes, you might find brothels on wheels, essentially. Yes, you will find an increase of these things, but as long as they remain illegal and as long as Darwinism takes out the right number of them in an appropriate fashion, I think we're generally all good. And well, actually, I mean, hopefully the old self-driving cars should actually be allow people to do this safely. It remains to be seen. As far as I'm concerned, the jury is out on self-driving.
Sorry. Did I just hear you right there? Did you say self-driving cars will enable people to practice safe sex?
In moving vehicles, yes. Yes.
Okay, Craig,
Potentially. The thing is, here's the thing.
Is that one of the optional add-ons?
Self-driving cars. I'm very much the jury's out on self-driving cars anyway.
What if? Hold on. You know how airplanes are controlled and the air traffic control center? What if it's the same kind of thing done for cars?
Well, that is a natural progression for that, yes, Steve, because then you can have a networked traffic system.
Yeah, I was going. That's it. The air traffic control system isn't necessary. If you all had smart cars, if everyone had a smart car and every car on the road was reporting its position millisecond to a server, you could have basically a road system that would act not dissimilarly from a computer network. You would literally
more like an ant colony.
An ant colony, a computer network. You could use traffic light systems and automatic cars like switches and routers. And
well, you wouldn't need traffic lights.
Yeah. Well, no, you wouldn't. You're absolutely right. The cars would just filter in and out of lanes with each other. It would be scary as fuck for the people in the cars, is all I would say. I think
they'd get used to it.
You'd get used to it. I wouldn't like it at first because there would be an awful lot of zipping around. But yeah, if every car on the road knew where every other car was, you could have a networked transportation system. That would be...
The biggest problem with it is who is responsible when something goes wrong.
Exactly, and you know what?
I will tell you who's responsible. Legally speaking, the person responsible, if anything goes wrong in an automatic car system, is the programmer who wrote the code.
Yeah.
Well,
a programmer basically wrote the best code he could, but because of a glitch that he didn't catch, him and the test team that tested the code could get done for manslaughter.
Yeah, then we've got all sorts of problems with automatic cars coming up already, whereby who's responsible for that car having the accident? As you said, it's a good question.
Well, the precedent's already set with airplanes.
Yeah, and
if you have an engine failure, whose fault is it?
Oh, well, that's a good question, because you then start going back and you go through the service history of the engine. You go through the development history and make sure every update that has been brought out by the engineering company that made the engine has been applied in their specified manner by their specified engineers in the appropriate way. Has it been serviced correctly? If everything is completely above board on that front, you need to go through everything on it. But if it's a mechanical failure with regard to the engine, it could well be an engineer who signed off on a piece of paper 20 years ago who was at fault.
And it's actually a very scary thing when you think about it. You've got a lot of people who, by their nature, are diligent and hardworking and just trying to do the best job possible.
Oh yeah, and it could have been a piece of paper shoved in front of him at 9 o'clock at night after doing a flat out day where he's been working solidly on God knows how much.
He could end up in jail for several years, several decades.
There are a lot of checks and balances set up these days, especially in engineering, to ensure that doesn't happen. Usually, it's signed off by multiple people at multiple times, at multiple stages throughout a design phase.
And when things go wrong, they're all trying to cover their own asses.
No.
Whoever gets caught.
No. Maybe if you're Volkswagen, but other engineering companies. Yeah, let's not go too much into this because it's something I have some experience on. But when it's done properly, if there's an engineering failure, it's never about covering asses, because covering asses just leads to more failures of the same type later down the line. The moment you have an incident, you need to explore as to the cause and effect, why it happened. Portioning blame should actually, in my opinion, come last, because, as I said, it could all be all manner of minuscule reasons and lapses of judgment that could be the single point of blame. But more importantly is finding the problem and fixing it. in the future. If the point of blame is due to negligence, then yeah, that should be dealt with. But if there are extenuating circumstances for that and it is not a negligent fault, then it shouldn't be dumped on people. It often is. So, if
I just want to point out that the three of us are just so old. We've got a story about cars becoming brothels, and all we can talk about is the technical specs and the technology. What's wrong with us?
Look, if you want to go into...
I tried to digress,
No. I started there. I started exploring the things. I could go into all sorts of different various positions and things you can do in a car whilst it is moving on a private road where you're not in endangerment to anybody else that you could get up to. But no, I even mentioned sort of anything that was, like, oh, maybe the lonely guy will have a wank. No, I don't want to get into that. Yeah, we could do that. We could do that.
Not that.
We could talk as to whether or not should these driverless cars, should they have a gear stick added just for effect, shall we say? Because gear stick has got a bit of a vibration to it. You could use those.
There's a replaceable.
I disgust myself. I just disgusted myself. Well
played, Trig. Well played.
I just saw that image in my head and went, "Oh my god, no!" Right, okay.
Someone's done it already.
Oh, yeah, I know. Final thing tonight, I think we're going to wrap up on what I think has been the high note for me, certainly of the week, and possibly of the year. When I saw this video, I had to watch it 3 times, and by the 3rd time, I was convinced that this was a parody. I thought it was a parody. The 2nd time, I was, no, this has got to be a parody. The 3rd time, with tears rolling down my face in laughter, I was, this is the best and funniest parody and comedy thing I've found all year. And then I found out it's real. This is a real thing. So we're going to watch this actual thing.
I timed out, so I'm going to have to get another invite.
Oh, have you timed it? Oh, right, okay. I'll tell you what. Let's not bother. Let's just do it straight through the normal YouTube one, because I'm just that bad. It's a 2-minute commercial. So I am blatantly advertising for this company, and you know what? I'm happy to do it for free because this is so awesome.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
The wind whispered through the forest. A storm is coming. I am the storm, the great American grizzly. Introducing the original Trumpy bear, the fearless, super plush American grizzly. Trumpy bear was born June 14th, Flag Day. Just find the secret zipper and pull out the American flag-themed blanket. Show your patriotism and proudly display Trumpy on any American holiday.
God bless America, and God bless Trumpy Bear.
American industry once ruled the world, and now we're back on track again. Thank you, Trumpy Bear.
Trumpy Bear sits proudly at the front of the motorcycle and loves to cruise with his brother.
I'm a former Marine, and I'm proud to have Trumpy Bear ride by my side. Once a Marine, always a Marine.
When I saw Trumpy Bear, I knew I had to have him. He's a fighter just like me.
Some firehouses have Dalmatians. We have Trumpy Bear.
I've been in law enforcement for over 4 years, and I love my Trumpy Bear. Trumpy Bear always has my back. When I go on patrol, I'm rolling with Trumpy Bear.
I'm a small business owner, and business is great again. Thank you, Trumpy Bear.
Yeah, thank you, Trumpy Bear.
People know me as Frankie the Broom. I own my own commercial cleaning service. My business is doing great. Thank you, Trumpy Bear.
When I ride with Trumpy Bear, he makes my golf game great again. Thank you, Trumpy Bear.
Order the Super Plus Trumpy Bear for only 2 payments of $19.95 and receive a special certificate of authenticity. Call now or log on to find out how you can get the Trumpy Bear Golf Club cover. Don't miss out on owning a piece of American history. Trumpy, the most fearless bear anywhere. Order now.
Mic on.
All right, we need a movie deal now.
Okay,
this needs a movie. I'm not gonna lie. I'm looking at this, and the first thing I thought is, was this made by people who contended on The Apprentice?
I don't know. See, I've been in law enforcement for 6 years, and I know Trumpy Bear's always got my back. Thank you, Trumpy Bear.
I love it. I actually love it.
The Marine
and this is real.
No, the
This
Marine.
is an actual real product. I personally for me,
I am so tempted.
for anyone out there that is just a bit of a shit poster and happens to have family members that have young kids, remember it's Christmas, and nothing will infuriate someone who is a bit of a Hillary supporter than giving their child a Trumpy Bear for Christmas.
Oh, mate, just get. That would be spectacular.
It's
So, how long before we meet the Boris Bear?
You know what? There should be a Boris Bear.
There should be.
I think there should be a Theresa May snake.
It's funny you should say that, actually. You know, when you're in big cities, you often get the whole, souvenir shop with the flags and the police boxes.
Yeah.
I was walking past one the other day, and it had like the various politicians as animals. And the one that stuck out to me was Theresa May.
Yeah,
because she was a snake.
So the snake, yes, she's particularly sibilant. So yeah, Trumpy Bear. Trumpy Bear is a real thing. I think that might be the greatest product this year. I cannot think of a thing right at the present moment. Right, and mind you, it's possibly because I can't think of anything other than that advert. Because I'm sorry, I'm just gonna
back. When I go on patrol, I'm rolling with Trumpy Bear.
When I go on patrol, I'm rolling with Trumpy Bear. Yeah, sure, you. I mean, it's an adorable bear as well, isn't it? I mean, look, it's a good little cuddly toy bear, and it's got the cute little tie and collar and cuffs on, and it's got the glorious yellow.
It's got the hair
and eyebrows too. It's undeniably Donny Bear. It's glorious. Who's making this? Is this a Donald Trump product, or is this some other glorious individual that's gone, you know what, I'm gonna make my piece of the American dream and sell Trumpy Bears? Because
just keep in mind one thing though, this thing costs $40.
I know.
So someone is very smart, that's all I'm saying.
I know, here I am on the other side of the fucking planet advertising his piece of crap for him. It's more the advert was so awesomely bad.
Oh, it is unique.
Yeah, that's
a Trumpy Bear for next president.
I would, I would love to see a Donald Trump at the end of this advert doing an endorsement of Trumpy Bear. I think that would make this perfect.
Oh my.
Okay. In the words of, in fact, in the words of Ben Shapiro, okay, this is epic. Because I don't know. It's $40. Is how much is that in real money? That's it's basically 40 quid these days, isn't it? I don't know, plushie bears are not cheap. I suppose that's about the right kind of price, I guess.
30 quid.
30 quid. 30 quid for an adorable present for your niece or something that will also piss off your niece's mum. No end. And she won't be able to articulate why she detests her daughter's favourite new toy quite so much, because bringing politics into a 5-year-old's life wouldn't be right. But nonetheless, god damn, no, stop cuddling it. It would be awesome. I think this is the ultimate shitpost present for Christmas.
I have no more words. This is just too.
I told you yesterday when I saw this that I was going to.
You did.
It's so there you go. Go on to official As Seen on TV 1 and go and watch that advert for yourself, and go onto the link and buy one if you want one. I kind of want one. I might buy myself a Trumpy bear.
Yeah, I think I might get one. Cheer me up.
You want to elaborate, D?
Yeah, it's Trumpy Bear. It'll brighten up my day. You know?
Try Trumpy Bear. Trumpy Bear's got your back. Trumpy Bear's there with you in the
He's
thick
your
of it.
bro, isn't he?
Oh, you know what they need? They need Trumpy Bear backpacks. Then he's really got your back.
Trumpy Bear backpacks.
Do you not remember the teddy bear backpacks?
I do. They were so cancerous. They were horrifying. Everybody, every girl under 14 had a fucking bear backpack, and a fair few
and
were
now
over
they
14.
can all have Trump on their back.
Care Bears, man.
Damn, this is a truly genius thing. It's the fact that it's got a flag, an American flag blanket shoved up its ass.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Wow. Yeah. So Trumpy Bear, long may you be a product in the world.
I think we found the real God Emperor of America.
This is the best timeline. The best timeline is the timeline where Trumpy Bear is a real thing. Anyway, I'm going to leave it.
Hold on.
Sorry?
Who's more popular, Bee Bear or Trumpy Bear?
Who?
Oh, thank God you don't. It's okay.
I think that answers the question, really, doesn't it?
Steve, why would you have to remind us of that person?
My God. My God.
I can't help it.
I guess you can't.
Right.
And on that bombshell.
On that bombshell.
Good night.
Good night.
Good.